So within Teams, you have a degree of calling already. We can make Teams to Teams calls, and that's baked in. As I mentioned, that's part of Teams that comes with your Microsoft 365. So we can make and receive those calls internally, and we can, say straight out the box. When we bring in Teams voice as well, what we're actually bringing in there is our traditional PSTN calling. So whereas historically you may have used something like Skype internally for your instant messaging, you'd have then had a separate platform for your telephony. We do it all in one place. So we can bring in our PSTN calling as well. So Teams is it's your one-stop shop, your single pane of glass. You're making your calls in the office, out on the road, across platforms, and yeah, absolutely, you can collaborate all from Teams. So just to give you a quick flavour of what this actually all looks like. So within Teams, the interface has been designed to be really user-friendly and simple to use. So if I just want to make a Teams to Teams call, so perhaps to a colleague, as I did to George yesterday when we were doing the final preparation for today. If I want to call him, I simply search for him in Teams. I could send him an instant message chat, but if I want to call him, we literally have our two buttons there, straight again next to my contact, video or voice call. It's as simple as that. Now, what you might notice on this screenshot is that little, next to George's avatar, that little red circle there with a little line. So what we also have in Teams is presence information. And if you've used things like Skype previously, then you'll be somewhat familiar with this, and this carries forward into Teams. So we can set ourselves to be available, busy. It would note if we're in a call, do not disturb, and that's then reflected so other people can see. So I can actually see here George was set to do not disturb. So I couldn't just call straight through. Okay, George is tied up. That would be not so appropriate to call him. But you can see how easy this is. It's just there in front of us. We haven't really got to go looking. As soon as we found that person, it's all there for us. So when we actually go to make our call, the other version is, of course, calling or PSTN calling or standard telephone calls. We need to dial a phone number. And again, in that simplicity vein, if I want to dial a phone number and we've enabled Teams voice, then we get an extra button on our left rail, the calls button. And all that really does is gives us a dial pad. Otherwise, we're in Teams still. So if your users are used to using Teams internally, adding in Teams voice, and this is a top question we get a lot, is what is the big difference? What happens when I add Teams voice in? Does it make it a lot more complicated? Does Teams change? No, fundamentally, not to any degree worth talking about. All we get is the calls button, which gives us access to our dial pad. I can just tap the number in using the mouse onto the pad. I can copy and paste the number into the window there if I had it on an email footer or something like that. What we also have there, you can add in, which we're going to in the next that, you can actually add in speed dials. So you can set those up yourself for your common numbers. You can set your contacts up and you get a history of all your calls. So it's all there, almost at the touch of a button. So the idea is, again, it's really simple and it's following on the Teams interface that perhaps you're familiar with already. So no real huge change other than you get a dial pad, really. But your calls go out and you can dial a traditional phone number. So what does this actually look like? Again, simplicity, and I'm sorry, I'm going to keep banging on about it this morning, but it's so important for our users. So if I make a call voice only, Teams to Teams, this is it. We get our voice window come up. Because I'm in Teams, I have some controls at the top there, so I can mute, I can share content if I was working together and collaborating with a colleague. But because this is a voice-only Teams to Teams call, obviously we've just got our Microsoft 365 avatars shown there. If I switch that to a video call, then we have video. And again, this call window is fairly much the same. You notice the bar at the top, the controls didn't change. So I can flick between voice and video very quickly. We have our participants button at the top, so I can even add other colleagues into the call if we needed to. And I can share content as well and share my screens, either a particular whole screen or a particular application, document, etc. So what happens though if I make a PSTN traditional phone call? Again, fairly similar. As you can see, that is a fairly similar window to what we had before. It dials the number. The only real difference is that we don't have some of the things like the share options and add other users in there that we had at the top on our control bar. Because we're making a traditional phone call, so our functionality is a little more limited. But I can now dial out. That will present my phone number out. So the caller ID on the recipient's phone will show my phone number, my direct dial, and yeah, they can then take that call, and we make the call through Teams. So again, what we're trying to show there is that it's a really simple solution for your users, and it brings everything together. And of course, at the back end of all of this, we are working with the Microsoft Teams and Microsoft 365 platform. So from an administration support point of view, everything is all brought together as well. And I'm barely scratching the surface of some of the Teams voice capabilities. Of course, we can set up call groups or hunt groups as they're traditionally known, and various auto attendants as well. So if you need options for the front of your office, again, we've got things we can do, or we've got options available to us around that as well. Now, what I've been showing you so far is Teams on my Windows 10 laptop. But I alluded to it earlier that we're looking for this functionality where we can work across devices now, and Teams has been designed to do that, and Teams Voice. So what we now have is Teams is fully supported on Android, iOS, macOS, and Windows 10, of course. And Microsoft have made a real effort when they've designed the Teams app to keep the functionality as close to the desktop app as possible, and keep the interface itself as close to as possible. Now, obviously, there's going to be some layout differences to suit the smaller screen and the mobile operating systems, of course. But the actual buttons that you're going to, so in this screenshot, you see at the bottom there, we've still got a calls button. We've still got a chat button. We can go to our contacts and so on. So that is consistent with the Teams desktop app. So I can work from Teams on my Android phone or my iPhone, and I can have access to all the same, my data, my contacts, much the same as if I was on my PC. Now, there's always a concern, of course, when we start bringing mobile devices into play. What about security? Haven't got time for security today. We're focusing on the Teams voice piece. Security is a whole conversation in itself, but suffice to say that there is a complete security wrap in Microsoft 365 to secure our data on our mobile devices. So that's absolutely a key part of the platform. We have run other webinars, and we'll be running others in future around those specific topics, but it can be done. Let's certainly leave it there for today. So we absolutely can make calls on the go. So if I actually wanted to make a Teams voice call, so I want to phone someone via my Teams phone number, my traditional, if you like, my desk phone, for want of a better expression, then I can actually do it from Teams. And provided I've got data connectivity, it'll go out across my data connection, whether that's 4 or 5G or my Wi-Fi, and it'll go across that, but present out through Teams. What's really neat as well there is that the mobile app has been designed to work with the desktop app. So let's talk remote working. Of course, I actually do the school run on certain days. And it might be if I had an early meeting, particularly we have a couple of internal team huddles before the 9 o'clock mark when I traditionally start. And it may be if I'm walking back from the school run, if I'm running a couple of minutes late there, I'll just join that meeting on my phone via Teams. So as long as I've got, again, got a data connection and allowance, I can just join that call, that group huddle via Teams as I walk back from the school run. The really neat thing is when I get back to my desk, I walk into my house, my laptop's already set up to go for work because I've done it before I left the house. I sit down, I join the meeting on the laptop, and it instantaneously transfers my connection from my phone over to my PC. So it's really been designed to work together there, to integrate, so you don't lose that flow when you're working. And on from that, I just want to just get, again, when we're coming back to this hybrid concept, and I love the phrase, work is what you do, not where you are. I really believe in that. So this would be, I'm just looking at, how would our hybrid work look like perhaps? So Monday, I'm going to work from home. Tuesday, we're talking about flexibility here. We're being flexible for our staff. So I've got to pop the car in the garage. Well, I can actually work. They've got Wi-Fi. I'm going to sit and work on my laptop in the waiting room or my phone, perhaps. So very little impact to what I'm doing. Take my car. I've actually got a lunchtime meeting in a coffee shop garden, so we can now meet outside, of course. And so, yeah, I'm going to go take to that. Now, it might be that I've got a colleague across the country who I want to bring into that meeting. Great. I can set it up on my phone, on my laptop, bring them straight into that meeting as well. And then I'll finish the day at home again on my, connected through Teams. Wednesday, I'll work from home. So I've got full connectivity. I've got to make phone calls. Again, I've got all of that there straight out of my Teams app. So Thursday, I'm going to work on the train in the morning. So actually, it might be a bit crowded and I'm a little bit worried about people looking over my shoulder. So actually, I'm just going to do some emails and perhaps work on a couple of documents, send some Teams messages on my phone. That's fine. Get to customer offices. And again, I may want to bring in colleagues into those meetings. So we can do that and actually set up a proper Teams meeting to bring everyone in. And of course, there we're utilising that voice. So we're not just doing a dial-in on a mobile phone and putting it in the middle of the desk or using an old-fashioned conference phone. We can have rich video experience coming in as well. So we really feel like we're bringing everyone together. Pop across to our offices for a team huddle there, which again, likelihood these days is we're going to struggle to get everyone in the office at the same time. So we'll probably go into a meeting room. We've not really gone too deep into that today, but there is full meeting room functionality available via Teams. So we can actually have a modern conference device and video devices to really bring that meeting together for those in the office and those out of the office. And then I'm going to work on that train on the way home. And again, I've got my phone there if that's easier to do rather than trying to get a laptop out on the train. And then Friday, I'm back working at home again, full connectivity. So really, I just want to try and illustrate here that, my productivity doesn't really change. I've still got all the contact, the access that I need, collaborate with colleagues, collaborate with customers. But by moving our platform into the cloud and simplifying it under one banner, we can actually bring all that functionality together. So to round out, I've alluded to this already, but just really to recap, Teams is fully supported across Windows 10, Android, iOS, macOS. So if you're running on one of those devices, then you've got the you've got a Teams app available for you. As far as your actual device choice goes, and I mentioned this earlier, that people are candidates, talent is interested in what devices you can get. You can of course run it on a laptop or a PC, a tablet, a 2-in-1, your phone. Devices like the Surface Hub for meeting rooms, the large screen devices, and our whole meeting room setups there. And Teams certified devices are being produced by all the major manufacturers, not only Microsoft with their Surface range, but people like Poly and Jabra, who have been leading players in the AV market for some time. Then they are now producing Teams certified devices.